Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Wow. Did we have a good time last night or what? So I was very happy that last night I was able to finally return to one of my other shows, which was Dinner and a Board Game. So we played Dinner and a Board Game last night. And the solo from the Barbarian Quest Pack, which is not an easy quest. Moving some stuff from last night's organization. So I thought it was great. I've got a few things that I've thought about that I could change up to make things a little bit better. But it was a great game. And we introduced something new. So we now have, this is something that now exists. Oh, it's time for a Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break, Yeti hug break. Everybody go hug yo Yeti and show yo Yeti some love. Well, you weren't expecting that, were you? So what is a Yeti hug break? Well, that's something that, something from Hero Quest. So now we have Yeti hug breaks. That's a thing. So, good morning, Zero the Blade. Good to see you. Mike is here. Good morning, Mike. Zero the Blade says, sorry I missed it last night. Had a family dinner to attend. Well, that's most important. You can always catch things on the replay. So, family dinners, family gaming. Sable Phoenix. So Sable Phoenix says, playing Savage World Super. So yes, if you've got a game to play, well, that's the first thing that you should be going and doing, or family things to go and attend. But if you don't, well, then you got a place to hang out when I'm doing dinner and a board game, or you can watch it on replay. So that is great. So how is everybody doing today? I hope great. All right. Yeah, I should have been up earlier today and working, but there's still going to be. But the show ran just about what I was expecting it to run, but that doesn't mean that I got to bed right after that. It was about a 3-hour show in total, and I think everybody had a good time. So we will keep going. Let's see here. What is it that I should say? I don't know. So there isn't a whole lot of news that's going on, except for I was going to point out a couple of things. Let's see. Like right here. So this does look very news-like right here. I did notice that yesterday I got an email, so many of you probably did as well, that Kobold Press, their playtest packet 3 did go out. So I downloaded it. So I've got it for us. I'm not going to interrupt our series. We've got about 2 weeks in order to reply if you want to send playtest information in. But if you Google Kobold Press playtest packet 3. Good morning, Zero Theory. Zero Theory is here as well. Good morning, Zero Theory. If you want to check out what Kobold Press is doing, then it is available. I remember being I was a little bit underwhelmed. I was like, all right. I was having a lack of enthusiasm, kind of, for Black Flag, but I got a little bit of that back after we looked at the second plate test. I was like, but so this is like Monsters or something like that. So we will probably take a look at it. I put it on the rotation someplace. We'll try to look at it before they actually want their stuff back. But want their God. Okay, I guess you can tell that I was up late with the game last night. Before they want their feedback, we will do that. Hey, Frank. Sable Phoenix says, I got that email and stopped paying attention to Black Flag Project or Tales the Valiant. Yeah, now Tales the Valiant, right? Which is not as good of a name. I agree. So I had a question actually for us. So for our poll today was which upcoming RPG? Now, what RPGs are in development now? As a result, kind of as of the OGL debacle, I could think of 3. The Black Flag, which is now Tales of the Valiant Kobold Press. Cool Name RPG, which again, I was enjoying. If you haven't seen Mark Tassin's design blogs, last Thursday, I guess that's something that's part of the news. Last Thursday, Mark Tassin did do another fantastic design blog on the Mechanical Muse YouTube channel, and he actually sent out a large survey to people about what they really want or what they would want to play in an RPG, so he kind of understands what the audience is that he's talking to. And I thought it was a very interesting breakdown about the way that people, the kinds of games that people want to play. So I thought those continue to be very interesting to watch. Those are on Thursday nights, and I was there with him live because we didn't have a table talk on Thursday night. He streams on Thursday nights, and I thought that was great. Oh, yeah. See, MCDM's unnamed one, Black Flag, Vagabond. Oh, Sable Phoenix says Vagabond. Yeah, well, I've got that one. Yeah, but we know almost nothing about it. So I was like, okay, so that's the news, but we know almost nothing about that to discuss. So Black Flag, Cool Name RPG, Dagger Heart. Okay, I didn't know anything about Vagabond. I haven't been following Instructor Boy. So that's one of those things. If something like that happens over there, I didn't know that. So I'll put that on the list. Now, of course, Shadow Dark is kind of already developed. So add option Vagabond. Shadow Dark is out, and then PF2 remastered. And Knave Second Edition. Yeah, Knave Second Edition is coming out. Which I know nothing about other than it is coming. I don't have another. I tell you what, I'm going to take Vagabond off, and I'm going to put Knave 2nd edition. There we go. Ask the community, what upcoming RPG are you most excited about? Black Flag, Cool Name RPG, Daggerheart, or Knave 2nd edition? So there we go. That's our poll for the day. So we will continue. You know, once we know more about the Daggerheart, I'm sure we will follow that. Zero Theory says, I imagine that many of these were going to be made already, just the conflict lit a torch under it. Yeah, probably. Oh, I did see a brief. Yeah, I did watch that. He got a preview of Knave. So, okay, so that did happen. So we'll take a look at the playtest packet 3 sometime here in the next couple weeks or something like that. So that happened. But then also in the Discord server, it was pointed out that the submissions for the Ennies is about to close. So today is the 29th. So over here, current submissions for the Ennies, that is about to close. So I suppose if you're submitting something, you should go ahead and do it. So it does let us see what everything that has been submitted, though. So I don't even know. I don't even know most of these things. But you can go over here. I'll put this link down here. Well, I'll put the link to both. This is Kobold Press. And then this is the Ennies. If you want to look through and see the things that have been submitted. Oh, the Blade Runner. We looked at Blade Runner, so Blade Runner has been submitted. We looked at the Blade Runner game here on the Morning Grind. Call of Cthulhu 40th Anniversary Classic 2-inch box set. I think we did look at that one. I'm pretty sure that's the one that we looked up. Cities and Towns. Okay, so some of the stuff that we looked at is on here. So that's good. So I at least we know some of these things. So Dungeons of Drakkenheim. That's an online one. Online adventure. So anyway, if you want to flip through that, or if you've got something to submit, you'd probably better do it now. So that's going on. So that's basically what's going on here on a Saturday, right? Frank says, I don't know enough about these games to answer the poll. Hey, Brent. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I wasn't able to put MCDM. Yeah. Sable Phoenix says it was already in development, but the OGL debacle started it for real. So that I think that's a way that was a lot of things. But you mentioned that Sable Phoenix. Sable Phoenix says, I really hope that Daggerheart is built for streaming play. I think that would be something really interesting in the tabletop RPG space. But I wonder what does that mean? I mean, wonder what that means. Yeah, Dungeons of Drakkenheim is the Dungeon Dudes game, right? You know, I had been thinking about, well, now what is it? Something to be made for online play, which doesn't mean like an online tabletop game. I wasn't thinking about the tabletop simulator. I was just thinking about something being available or specifically designed to be able to be played like over Zoom and stuff like that, rather than needing all of the sophisticated tabletop simulators and the tabletop VTTs and things like that, which are great, which I know a lot of people like. But on the other hand, they can sometimes be very difficult to set up. So what can you play just over Zoom? So maybe but if they're all playing in the same location, what does it mean for a game to be something that's designed to be streamed? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. We know so little bit about it. Although it did say that it was going to be designed for like long-term play and character development, like long campaign play and character development. Okay, let me stop screen sharing and let's go over to our main topic here, which is the Rules Cyclopedia. We had a few more topics that we wanted to cover in here. And to me, this has been more interesting than I was expecting when I originally opened this up. I originally thought, hey, let's do this. And of course, this also comes because people were letting me know about it in the Discord server, the Ravenkeep Discord server. Oh, which, by the way, I suppose I should post the link to. Ravenkeep Discord server right there. people let me know this was a fantastic book, and I knew nothing about Dungeons and Dragons because I started with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Second Edition. And I've been very glad that we have taken a look at this book because it has given me an idea of what actually old school RPG is. Because there's what does it apply to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons? Well, I mean, probably, but it even applies more. The term even applies more directly to this. And so I've been very glad to have gone back in time and kind of taken a look at what Dungeons and Dragons was, what it was trying to do. So what people enjoyed, what got this hobby sort of off the ground, what made it become so popular. So, this game right here. And then we can also see what's changed and some things changing for the better. Sometimes it's funny to see sort of the old school wargaming influence and things like that that is here in this game that's kind of been removed from later editions of the game. But then, so simplifications, that's certain simplification, which doesn't necessarily mean, or streamlining of things. That's been interesting to see. Some things that we think are definitely better, but then some things that are gone that seem to be elements of play that have been removed. And we were especially interested, we were in mass combat, and now this siege combat seems very extensive. So we were going to look at siege combat today, because we were looking at mass combat, which isn't something that's covered in like Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. And we were looking at it specifically that basically it's running a world. And so I've been thinking about that in the back of my mind yesterday before dinner and a board game yesterday. I was thinking, well, yeah, we're definitely missing kind of a world running element here. Which really wasn't even so much in AD&D. And I've been thinking about that. I'm like, oh, even if it's not in a core book, missing the elements of or adding in the elements of world running, even in more narrative style games. So this is definitely about, like Sable Phoenix has brought up several times, tracking time. And because tracking game world time being so important. But even if you were running a more narrative system, you should still be able to run a world, I would think. Now, I was thinking about that. Now, GURPS should probably be on the top to do that, but I don't really know that world running. It does have mass combat. We're going to look at GURPS mass combat because I want to compare it to this right here. So that's on the short list to do. But with all the detail that GURPS has, you would think that world running would be something that GURPS would have. But it's not something that's in even the core books in the way that we're defining it here. Although even something like Fate, with the Fate fractal, I would guess that you could run a world with Fate. So James says, I agree. This has been great. So, Sable Phoenix is also the oldest that the oldest Sable Phoenix played is 2nd edition as well. It's Sable Phoenix says it's interesting how every version of D&D from 2nd E has largely abandoned the war game campaign aspect and mass combat. Yeah, so now I do have the mass combat rules, the battle system rules. Those are over there. We're going to be taking a look at those too. I think we should. Oh, I've moved all of my notes because of last night's game, but we should put battle system on there. Are these the notes? Let's see. Nope, there's someplace else. But being that the battle system, is this the notes? Oh, yes, it is. So let me put the AD&D battle system on there because that is the war game that went along with it. But I'm not really even all that. I read them a long time ago, but I don't even remember. But it's not something that we ever used. So AD&D battle system. I read them a long time ago, but the war game, then I think right after I found that, I got into Warhammer. So we played Warhammer instead and never really integrated an actual war game into AD&D. And I was actually kind of expecting, I thought that's where we would be going with these mass combat rules. But this is actually a more abstract kind of way to resolve. There's a lot of math in here, but okay, the actual battle would indeed be resolved faster than actually having to war game it out. So the battle system allows you to actually war game it out. So we went through the mass combat, like field combat. But then it said, hey, I was joking last time that last time we had like just this brief 4 paragraphs on sieges. And it's like, now how can you run a siege with just those 4 paragraphs of rules? But then actually there's sieges down here that have multiple pages worth of rules here. Okay, so what is this? And what? So obviously this is important that it takes up, look, the amount of space that this takes up in the book is considerable. Vision is wondering what Yeti hug break is. Zero Theory says, I did my share of playing second edition in the 90s. We never touched them. Zero Theory says, yeah, Yeti hug break. I was asked to post the Yeti hug break. I will probably post that clip just as its own YouTube video, and then maybe even reformat it as a short. So if you need that Yeti hug break for something, it'll be available. Okay, so the siege machine is a set of expanded war machine rules for assaults on fortifications. Before using these rules, each player should have detailed information on the following subjects: the war machine system described earlier in this chapter, the troops involved, including leaders, normal equipment, and other details needed for the war machine, the defender's fortifications, including thickness and length of walls, height of other constructions, etc., the siege equipment used by both sides, and the number of crewmen operating each. See Chapter 4 for rules on siege equipment. This is an abstract system, but man, it is detailed in the sense that you're expected to keep track of the number of individual people that you have. How many officers, like how many, well, I mean, thickness and length of walls and stuff like that. You're getting into some, there's no abstraction at that level. On that level, you're actually supposed to keep track of exactly what's there. Now, later you did kind of resolve the battle in an abstract way, but this is some, you're keeping up with this world running by like how many people are around. And actually that's what, who was it that has brought up? The idea that, okay, that once we get into the domain level play, that something that's kind of screwed up is something like our population growth or something like that. Oh, did you, let me see. I need to close that poll, come to think of it. Step 1, find a Yeti. Oh, right over here. End poll. So of those that we had here, Cool Name RPG and Daggerheart. Oh, everything's kind of tied. We got 11 votes. So Cool Name RPG had 27%. Daggerheart has 27%. Knave Second Edition has 27%. And it was still a Black Flag by Kobold Press, 18%. I was noticing in the comments of some other other pages, some other videos, the comments of other videos. It seemed like people were looking at Black Flag to be the continuation of D&D. He even said like the game that I've been the continuation or the game that I've been playing for 45 years. But on the other hand, I'm still confused as to why the advanced 5th edition that we looked at, why advanced 5e, that level up, isn't talked about more. Why isn't that the continuation of 5e? I mean, there's so many things like that out there. But I guess Kobold Press, although that is in-world, I mean that's got a large number of people looking at it. But Black Flag seems to be what everybody's looking at if they want to go on with 5th edition. Yeah, I didn't have enough. It only gives me 4 options, so I wasn't able to put MCDM. That was probably going to be pretty popular too, as far as things people are looking forward to. Yeah, we did talk. We did briefly talk about the remastered 2nd edition books. That was yesterday. And I actually clipped it. I clipped that out and I put that clip on the channel itself. So we did briefly discuss it. Of course, there's not a whole lot to know beyond that. Lord Fullmine says, I wouldn't say there was no wargaming at all. No wargaming. Dark Sun, Birthright, Greyhawk all had mass combat aspects and expansions. Okay. So Sable Phoenix says Birthright, and I don't know that setting very well. Birthright especially, yes, but it didn't have the kind of Avalon Hill style record keeping. So yeah, the system, Sable Phoenix says, the system is expecting you to measure everything and keep track of it in real world terms. This is very much of an S on the GSR theory, GSN theory. So this is a gamist, simulationist, or narrativist play. Yeah, this is much more simulationist. The Castle Guide? Oh, it did? We briefly looked at the Castle Guide on the Morning Grind. We did an episode on that, but we didn't look at all of it. So, okay, so that's interesting. So that would be, I can believe that. That seems like a good place for it. So the Castle Guide may have had siege information in it. So Black Flag Zero Theory says, so Black Flag to give you that D&D experience without actually playing it. I can see that being a niche to fill. Right. So and it also makes sense that they've got so much material already created for their worlds with 5th edition that they can't stray too far from it. Okay. So the exact, and see, it does say exact. Just what we were just talking about right here, keeping track of things exactly. So this says, you will also need to know the exact monthly cost of mercenary troops hired to fight with the force. See Chapter 11 for information on mercenaries. The exact levels of all clerics in or within each force. The exact number of full rations available. See sustenance below. The siege machine is played out in turns of 1 week, also known as siege turns. When the forces within the defensive structure sally forth to attack a besieging force, combat is played out under the normal War Machine rules. Siege options. Attackers' siege options. Depart. The attacking forces leave the battle completely. No further combat occurs. Bombard. The attackers maintain a position distant from the fortifications, but within range of the smallest artillery used. Artillery and ballista fire are the only possible form of combat. No melee or missile fire occurs. Harass. The attacking force encamps near the fortifications. Some siege equipment may be used, but not all. See siege preparations. The attacking force is within range of missile fire. Combat is intermittent in any form except melee. Assault. The attacking force uses all available siege equipment and attacks forcefully, trying to penetrate fortifications. The attacking force gains a bonus of plus 5%, not merely plus 5 to its BR, but the defender's casualties are decreased by 5%, effects identical to standard tactics. The combat turn is otherwise run normally. Combat is primarily melee, with some missile fire, but usually no artillery fire. Okay, so I guess that's the options that the attackers are going to take every week. So the defenders' siege options. Yeah, see, we talked about Sable Phoenix says this is another thing where magic breaks the world, like create food and water, sieges become useless. Also, if one of the forces has a mage that can cast Meteor Swarm, siege over. And Zero Theory agrees. Right, a few powerful mages really turn the tide. But I guess, on the other hand, there are not supposed to be that many of them. Because in this, there will only be a few mages. So I guess that's the advantage to having one. Because it's flat out said they're not expected to live beyond early levels. So the defender can at any time choose to leave the fortress to make an assault. If an avenue of escape exists, the defenders may choose to depart. If they remain within the fortification, the defenders harass. Defenders cannot bombard the attackers. If the defenders make an assault, they lose all fortification bonuses, but may choose the time of the attack. Okay, so wait a minute. So actually, that does say attackers option. So this is the defenders options. They cannot bombard the attackers. If the defenders make an assault, they lose all fortification bonuses, but may choose the time of attack, day or night, and gain plus 10%, not plus 10 bonus to their BR rounded up, which represents a degree of surprise. Combat is otherwise run normally using the War Machine combat results tables. If the fortification has a secret exit, possibly underground, the defenders can depart unnoticed. If 10% of the defending force is left to maintain the appearance of strength, the departure of the main force can remain undiscovered for some time, varying by the attacker's current tactic. If the defender's fortification is not surrounded, the attacking force can depart by normal means. This takes place. If this takes place visibly during the daylight, the attackers gain immediate knowledge and can attack them as per normal War Machine rules. Okay, before commencing a siege, the DM and players need to make the following preparations. Find the costs for each side. Each player needs to find out the weekly payroll, food and water supplies, sustenance, and ammunition costs for his entire force. Review the detailed notes given for each topic at the end of this section. The player notes the amount of money, rations, and ammunition he has on hand at the start of the siege. Find BFR, troop class, and BR for each force. The player privately calculates these details using the standard War Machine rules. List and compare siege details. The defending player makes a list of the walls, fortification, moat, and other parts of his fortification, plus all unconcealed siege weapons in use. The attacker lists all of the unconcealed siege equipment of the attacking force. See concealed information for further details. The list should not include BR values. When finished, the players trade lists, and both players can make... So this also assumes that the players are fighting each other. I mean, the players trade lists. I noticed that wording in the standard War Machine rules, that this is assuming, I mean, it doesn't seem like it has to be, but it seems like it is assuming that players will be fighting each other and laying siege to one another. I guess that's part of the world running and stuff. So there's no guarantee in this, because of the wording, that all of the PCs are on the same side. Because this says, okay, so the public information... The defending player makes a list of all the walls, buildings, moats, and other parts of his fortification, plus all unconcealed siege weapons in use. The attacker lists all unconcealed siege equipment of the attacking force. The list does not include the BR values, that's secret information, but when finished, the players trade lists, and both players can make notes if desired. At the DM's option, reinforcements can arrive later to aid either the defender or the attackers. In this case, so the DM in this case is like refereeing between two player character forces. In the DM's option, reinforcements can arrive. Okay, in this case, the player receives the reinforcements, should make a second list and recompute costs, BFR, troop classes, and BR bonuses. Both players take back their own lists and privately note the BR bonuses on each item while adding concealed equipment information. The BR bonuses for most siege weapons vary by the number of crew per weapon. The exact number of crew per machine should be noted along with BR bonuses to avoid errors. Yeah, we would hate to have an error come up in any of this. Zero Theory says, Lord Fullmine, honestly, I can see dozen roles of mage, from espionage to the front line. Vision says that I played at Mass Combat part of the stream. I played an event like this, 11 or 12 different tables, all with 7 players, all contributing to a massive battle with their own customized objective. It was fantastic. There can be no errors. That would be tragic. That would be tragic to do all of this and then find out, oh my God, I said I had 6 men on this ballista, and I actually only had 5. On ballista number 4. Defender finds total BR score and siege weapon bonuses. The defending player adds the total bonuses to the original BR score of the force to find the total modified BR. The score is not revealed at this time. Additional bonuses for siege weapons will vary by the tactics used by the attacker, but can be calculated at this time as follows. Attacker bombards. Attacker adds all the bonuses for artillery, catapult, and trebuchet, plus half bonuses for ballistas. Attacker harasses. Attacker adds double the bonuses for artillery and adds the full bonus for ballistas. Attacker assaults. Attacker adds no value for artillery but adds double the bonus for ballistas. I guess that's how it's saying that, like, how these different things are used in those different attack types. Attacker calculates BR bonus for each tactic. The attacking player privately calculates the siege equipment bonuses that will apply to each tactic as follows: bombard, okay, harass and assault. Assault, all miscellaneous equipment bonuses apply plus double ballista bonuses. So, all right, so how do we do this? Order of events in Siege Machine. Once all preparations are made, you can conduct siege combat. Each game week, which is a siege turn, follow this sequence of events. Deduct costs for the battle week. Ignore this step for the first battle of the siege. Apply it to the second and subsequent battle rolls. So deduct the costs for the if the defending force chooses to harass, siege combat continues unless the attacker departs. Each player deducts costs for the turn as follows. Payments. Cash payment to mercenary troops, 1 week's payroll, are deducted from each side's total. Sustenance. Each side deducts 1 week's food and water from its current stores for all troops not fed by clerical spells. Ammunition. Each side deducts 1 week's ammunition from the siege weapons total. Both sides can add ammunition gained by gathering. See siege accounting. Dominion costs. At the end of a month, if the end of a month occurs at the end of a battle week, each side makes appropriate adjustments to their Dominion treasuries, deducting normal costs and adding normal income. However, a ruler under siege cannot receive Dominion income. If a secondary ruler has been previously designated, the Dominion accounting continues normally. Zero Theory says, we're retconning the last 6 hour, guys. I should have added a +1 to my attack roll back then. We got to do it over. It could matter. It could matter. And it says, the rules say that I have to be exact. Modify BR for field of battle. The battle modifications for troop ratio, morale, environments, immunities, and fatigue should be done openly, but without revealing the starting BR. Some bonuses for terrain also apply. Remember that when calculating the troop ratio, the number of troops defending a fortification is multiplied by 4. Fatigue automatically lasts for 1 week instead of 1d4 days. Terrain. In the War Machine, some terrain bonuses apply to the defender only. Ignore the following normal bonuses as they are replaced with the more detailed defense bonuses of the fortification. Okay, I'm glad we got more detailed bonuses for the fortification here. Choose tactics. Each player chooses a siege tactic. Reveal tactics and modify BR for siege equipment. This tactic is used by the attacker. The tactic used by the attacker is revealed first. If the bombard tactic is used, the defender's tactic is not revealed, and he uses the bombard bonuses only. Okay, find and apply bonuses. The details for this procedure vary by tactic. And then casualty. So we got to roll someplace, right? Casualties resulting from harass or assault tactics are applied normally. Casualties from artillery bombardment are determined separately, as explained above under bombardment. The tactics. Wait, I lost my place. The casualties from the attacker's artillery may affect both sides depending on the tactics used by the attacker. So wait, the tactics from the attacker's artillery may affect both sides. So this is sometimes having you hit your own guys. So this is during assault. 60% of your artillery hits the defenders and 40% hits your attackers. Your side is not going to be very happy about that. There's got to be some morale penalty. You would think some kind of morale penalty for using your artillery during an assault and hitting your own guys. So let's take a look at this. So this is the Siege Machine weapon table. So this is the encumbrance. Remember, we got like encumbrance coin value or something here. These weapons may have wheels attached and can be towed. Towing encumbrance is equal to 1/12 of the listed encumbrance. Thus, a horse pulling a mantlet on wheels is pulling only 400 coin units, whatever that was, of encumbrance. So we got ballista, light catapult, heavy catapult, trebuchet, bore, and battering ram. Ram battering. AC HP, full crew, range, the amount of damage it does, fire rate, BR, and this is the ammo cost per week. In what? Ammo cost per week in, that's 2,000. Like copper? Silver? It might tell us. Wind is north by northwest at 10 knots, so archers will suffer a -1 if they fire from a 30-degree angle from this tower. Yes. It sounds like the kind of thing that I would write when I was writing as a kid. I wrote this, and of course it never got played, but I was trying to create this highly realistic and detailed Napoleonic War game. I wrote everything out about it in this extensive notebook. It was pages and pages and pages and pages of that kind of thing. It's a tradition in my family that once you reach a certain age, you study Napoleon intensely for some reason. Oh, you know what? Actually, my not my oldest nephew, the second oldest nephew, is probably right at Napoleon age. It's time to make sure he's introduced to Napoleon so we can carry on the family tradition of being obsessed with Napoleon for a few months or years. So miscellaneous siege equipment, miscellaneous siege machine equipment table. Belfry, gallery shed, hoist, ladder, mantlet, timber, fort. Okay, other details, concealed and false information. In step 3 of siege preparation, players make a list and compare siege details. Both players may conceal or exaggerate certain details. Fortification details. The thickness and height of walls, towers, and belfries must be noted, but each player can claim a height or width up to 5 feet different from the actual amount. Visible equipment. The attacker must reveal the exact and correct number of pieces of visible siege equipment used during the start of the battle. However, more equipment can be brought in later or be concealed by large structures. The existence of such secret weapons is revealed as soon as they are used, when their bonuses to combat is applied. Invisible equipment. Invisibility used by either side counts toward concealing weapons only if the enemy has no method of detecting invisible objects. If the enemy spots a team of mules pulling an invisible siege equipment but cannot detect invisible, the attacker may identify the invisible siege weapon incorrectly. So, okay, siege ammunition and costs. Ammunition may be the largest single cost of the siege. Excuse me. But I still, what is this? Ammunition, this is ammunition cost per week, not necessarily number of bolts. In step 1 of the battle of each week, each player deducts ammunition to be used in the following week, subtracting 1, the week's worth, and from the total of the siege weapon. The player then adds a number to reflect ammunition gathered. Ballista ammunition can never be gathered or reused. All missed shots are broken and unusable. Artillery ammunition can be gathered and reused by each side. The details vary for each side as follows. The defender can only gather a small amount of spent ammunition. The attacker must first reveal the total number of artillery pieces that fired the previous week. The defender divides that total by 4. The result is the number of weeks of ammunition that the defenders can gather. The defenders may also choose to destroy stone buildings and use the stone for ammunition. This could be done quickly by a few men. Each stone building yields a number of units, weeks worth of ammunition equal to its BR value. However, the BR bonus for the building must be immediately deducted from the defender's original total. The attacking force can gather a much larger amount of spent artillery ammunition. Ammunition can only be collected from artillery used the previous week. The amount varies by the tactic used in the current week. So bombard 3/4 of weapons fired, harass 1/2, and assault 1/4. This figures assume that all available troops are employed to gather ammunition. Oh, of course. So now that's not something we can just assume. Troops so employed do not rest enough to offset fatigue, but they do not suffer additional fatigue. If the commander allows the troops to rest to offset fatigue, the amount of ammunition gathered is half as much. If a missile weapon runs out of ammunition, it gives no further BR bonus. If a weapon is left unused to save ammunition, its BR bonus is not counted for that week. Artillery shot can be used in any piece of artillery. For conversion, it says artillery shot can be used in any piece of artillery. For conversion, consider 6 units of light catapult ammunition as equal to 5 units of heavy catapult ammunition, or 4 units of trebuchet ammunition. LOL, number of pieces that fired the previous week. Yeah, I know. This keeps coming back up. Sale Phoenix. You cannot have a meeting campaign if accurate time records are not kept. Okay. And of course, then you have to adjust all of this by the number of whether. Okay, so that's artillery ammunition for what? Payroll. The standard mercenary payroll is given for the cost per week. To be used for payroll, cash must be either kept at the siege site or delivered at regular intervals. Either procedure requiring guards. Cash must be kept in a physical form suitable for individual payments. Mercenaries cannot be expected to make change. Oh, so and make sure you got the right coins. Like we can't just say, okay, I get this much gold. Okay, that's fine. Because if they got to be paid in, I don't know, if they got to be paid in silver or something like that, we got to make sure that we actually have the exact specie on hand. Because we don't want these mercenaries making change. Mercenaries may be given large sums of payment in advance for services, but this practice encourages desertion and often causes a drop in morale due to gambling, theft, accidental loss, etc. Sustenance. So I was waiting on this. So what do we find out here? A standard ration serves one person for 1 week. All right, so we're tracking one person's rations for 1 week, but spoils if kept longer than a week. An iron ration also serves one person for 1 week, but only spoils if kept for 8 weeks. 1 week's food and water for one person is called a full ration. The prices listed for food in Chapter 4 reflect the markups applied to food offered to adventurers or sold in taverns and inns. When feeding an army and buying food regularly in bulk, divide those listed food costs in half. This reduced price is not available to small parties of traveling adventurers. The limiting factor for clerical assistance is the level 5 create food spell. Much more water than food can be produced. So this is what we're talking about, Sable. Much more water than food can be produced by the 4th level create water spell. The following table gives the number of men fed by one create food spell, men per spell column, and the total number of men a cleric can sustain if all available spells are used to do so, max men column. The cleric must provide food daily. None can be stored as the magical created food spoils within 24 hours. Some forces have insufficient numbers or levels of clerics to sustain them, and some have no clerics at all. Anyone not receiving full rations becomes fatigued. Moderate fatigue after 1 week or of less than proper feeding becomes serious fatigued after another week, becoming weak, losing 50% of its BR after a 3rd week. Morale drops 2 points for each week of less than normal feeding. Troops not fed at will desert or rebel after 1 to 3 days of such treatment. Okay, horses, we got to feed the horses too. Horses and other mounts of similar size require double human rations. Underfeeding brings the same penalties as for troops. If not fed, the mounts may flee, attack their owners, or simply weaken and die in 4 to 9 days. Foraging and hunting are virtually useless for armies. Any force of 100 or more troops can quickly gather every available food source in an area in only a day, providing food for 1 week at most, and often less. Okay, so here is our cleric and the create food spell table. Level of the cleric. So 10, starting here at level 10. So first of all, you do have to be a level 10 cleric. So I guess that's the minimum. So if you only are up to level 9, you're not doing this anyway. Zero Theory says it's about time at about this time the DM looks up, sees the glassy look on the player's eyes, and says, "Did you just want a dungeon crawl instead?" Yeah, yes, this is supposed to be yes, they well, this siege is supposed to be boring. We can't be having a good time while we play this. So the level of cleric, so men per spell that can be sustained, and max men over here. So I guess that's because they're the same here because the cleric only has one. But if you're a 15th level cleric, then you can maximum sustain 648 men. That is a lot. Now, of course, it's a 15th level. You're a 15th level character. But once you get to 16th, you're talking about 1,008 men. I mean, that's a significant army. Significant chunk of your army. A level 36 cleric could just, I mean, think about the amount of food that's being magically generated here. That the cleric, I guess by spending all the cleric spells at level 36, could be magically creating enough food and water, but it said that the limiting factor was the creation of the food. For 8,748 men? I wonder if this spell actually describes how the cleric is doing this. Because like all of a sudden that's a stack of food. Or is this more like a Jesus kind of thing that the cleric is just walking around with a basket and reaching into the basket and pulling out a fish, for every guy, for 8,748 guys. I wonder if that's where this comes from anyway. Well, like Jesus could feed the masses. So if you're a cleric, maybe you should be able to do that as well. What page is this? Well, I guess spells are in here. Treasure, immortals, monsters. Well, doesn't matter. Okay. Special squads. Okay, either side can use special squads, groups of specialists with exceptional skills to work towards certain purposes. Sounds like a bunch of player characters, such as reconnaissance, demolition, commando, capturing or killing one or more persons valuable to the enemy. Define these before the start of the siege. Do not reveal them to the opposing player. Yeah, a group of adventurers can become a special squad for a siege. This is an ideal way to play a normal D&D game within the siege system. The results of special squads missions are applied immediately before the next siege battle. For example, actions by a special squad that result in the loss of several siege engines, leaders, clerics may require recalculation of the BR. Field construction, siege equipment can be constructed at the site of the siege. Each piece of equipment must be constructed under the supervision of a siege engineer. The artillerist is also needed for any artillery under construction. One siege engineer can supervise up to four constructions at one time. One artillerist can supervise only 2 constructions at a time. To construct equipment, hardware, metal materials, and tools must be brought to the siege site. The cost of hardware is 10% of the listed cost of the piece of the equipment. Wood must be in plentiful supply or near the siege site. If a forest resource is within 5 miles, 10 men can gather enough wood in one day to make 5 hit points worth of equipment. If the wood is 5 to 10 miles away, double that time. If it's 10 to 15 miles away, triple the time. And if it's 15 to 20 miles away, quadruple the time needed. I like that. If a forestry, so 10% of the cost is in your hardware, but that if a forest resource is within 5 miles, 10 men can gather enough wood in one day to make 5 hit points worth of equipment. 1,008 men, exactly, because we can't risk any rounding errors because we have to be exact. Zero Theory says, it's got me thinking about the gods now. I imagine a big enough siege is going to attract their attention, especially if the clerics are invoking its power to feed armies. That's a good point, too. Like, I mean, you're out there like day after day after day, because that was per day, right? I think that was per day, not like per week. They're out there doing a lot of casting. Let's see. So, and we actually haven't gotten to understanding like the height and size of the walls yet. That must be coming. So nearby wooden buildings can be a source of usable wood. Yes, just like you can tear down the stone structures, because you're going to need to know the stone structures, stone houses and stone buildings inside your fortification in case you need to turn them into artillery ammunition. Nearby wooden buildings can be a source of some usable wood. 5 feet of building wall can be converted into 1 hit point worth of equipment. This assumes the use of rafters and beams as well as the walls themselves. Stone buildings with wooden roofs can also yield usable beams, but only 5 hit points of equipment per standard stone building. Who's going to know the length of building walls around that they have access to? Once materials are at hand, any supervised but untrained person can construct 1/2 hit point of equipment per day. So this was just enough, how much wood you can gather. That didn't mean you actually built the equipment. 10 men could gather enough wood in 1 day to make 5 hit points worth of equipment. But that only gets the raw equipment there. Once materials are at hand, any supervised but untrained person can construct 1/2 hit point of equipment per day. The maximum, assuming they have the correct supervision. The maximum number of workers that can be used is equal to half the hit points of the finished equipment. For example, if 6 men work on a light catapult under proper supervision, they will finish 3 hit points per day, taking 6 days to complete an 18 hit point catapult. No more than 9 men can work on it at once. Ballista ammunition cannot be built in the field except by an armorer. Post-siege adjustments. Damage to fortifications. If siege missiles are used during a siege, fortifications suffer a certain amount of damage. To determine the state of the walls, towers, and other parts of the fortification, make a damage roll for each attacker's siege weapon in use at the end of the siege. For example, 1d8 plus 8 for light catapult. Add all these damage rolls together. Multiply the result by the number of weeks that this siege lasted. The defender then rolls a percent die and subtracts the result from the attacker's total. The result is the number of hit points of damage to the fortification. So to determine the state of the walls, towers, and other parts of the fortification, make a damage roll. That's the rules that are in the castle guide must be much simpler than this. You would think, although it's advanced Dungeons and Dragons, you might. I had naively thought that meant that the rules for advanced Dungeons and Dragons were more sophisticated and detailed, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's probably the case in some situations. It probably handles more things, like we divided the race from the class, but there's also some things that are left out and simplified. Well, yeah, Sable Phoenix brings up, yeah, that's what happened to Troy too. It was a battle of the gods because it was big enough. If the gods don't like the battle, they could just not answer prayers until someone sues for peace. Yeah, sending ill omens to clerics or not granting the spells. Well, then you're screwed. Well, if you're relying on all that to feed your army, the clerical spells to feed your army, then you'd better make sure that your side is on the god side. Mike says, hey, y'all, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Yes, please do. Yes, please do consider becoming a member if you are not already. That would be great. But then also, please do hit the like button. We'll see how we can grow here. The result, okay, so we were rolling a 1d8 So for each, make a damage roll for each attacker siege weapon. So this is per siege weapon. So if I've got one light catapult, it would just be 1d8 plus 8. But this is going to happen for every piece of equipment that I've got. Add all of the damage rolls together. Oh, no. I'm adding all the damage rolls together for all of my equipment. So I roll damage for all of my equipment. Multiply that result by the number of weeks the siege lasted. The defender then rolls a percentile die and subtracts the result from the attacker's total. The result is the number of hit points of damage to the fortification. If the total damage exceeds the original hit points, the fortification is completely reduced to rubble. Otherwise, first apply damage to 75% of the wall's hit points. And if any damage needs further accounting, to the following structures in the order given. Deduct 20% of each structure's original hit points each time. If further damage needs accounting, so first apply damage to 75% of the wall's hit points. Okay, so that would leave the walls with 25% remaining. And then go to each structure, and then if you need more, apply 20% more damage to the walls and each item in the following list in order, going through the list as many times as necessary. Gatehouses, gates, and drawbridges, normal buildings, towers, barbicans, keeps. Attacks against portions of fortifications. If an attacker wishes to concentrate his assault on a small portion of a fortified position, he can do so under the following conditions. The attacker can use no more than 300 troops and 4 siege engines per 100 feet of attack frontage. The defender gets the full BR benefit from the section of the fortification under attack. He also gets the full BR benefit for any towers with 200 feet of the area under attack. He gets the full of any towers, I guess it's within 200 feet of the area under attack. The defender then adds 1/4 of the BR benefit to the remaining parts of the fortification. Oh, we're almost done. But additional details. These notes are offered as historical information to stimulate the imagination. Oh, we're stimulated over here. To stimulate the imagination and give a more detailed view of medieval siege warfare. The siege section of the War Machine already reflects the assumptions that some or all the siege weapons are being employed and that some appropriate defenses are at hand and likewise used. Wait, we're making some assumptions here? Wow. That's incredible. For a fast resolution of any assault on a fortification, whether walled town or huge fortress, you can still use that system. However, not all attacks on fortresses will result in sieges. This is especially true if powerful magic users are present, for magic can produce very fast results. When both sides have powerful magic users, the battle could be quickly resolved in either direction depending on the tactics used. The War Machine rules are inadequate for such cases. A game session devoted entirely to this sort of battle is recommended. If a long siege situation does arise, one important point should be emphasized. The cost of paying one's forces and maintaining supplies for their use should be strictly applied throughout any siege. Cost was historically and should remain in this game the greatest obstacle to siege warfare. Wow. This guy right here. I guess that's a party running in. Maybe this is our one of the special squads or something right here. I was trying to understand what's going on. It looks like I thought he was like punching him in the stomach, but I think that the fighter here is just lifting up this gate, and these guys are running in. Right. Sierra Theory says right, and they can't have both. And they can't both be having clerics of the same god on each side of the siege, can they? Well, that's interesting. Maybe they could if they were. I mean, maybe they could. I guess it depends on what the god was after. Like I could see if this. I don't know what type of gods we've got in this different world, but maybe if they were like neutral clerics, gods of mercy or something like that. That's there to help feed and take care of wounds and stuff like that. I didn't see that. I didn't see the clerics coming by and how many men they could get back into action because of healing and stuff. Sable Phoenix says, I've laughed more at this morning grind than any other. Okay, well, that was certainly a thing. That was certainly a thing to go through. So this is experience. I just saw this note right here. In the game, there are 5 normal ways for player characters to acquire experience: by role-playing well, by achieving party goals, by defeating monsters and opponents, by acquiring treasure, by performing exceptional actions. So that's interesting. We'll talk about the 5 methods of gaining experience. So when a player performs an exceptional and appropriate piece of role-playing, you can award him an experience point bonus equal to 1/20th the base number of points he needs to get to the next level. Well, that's also an interesting way to do that. If you perform exceptional and appropriate piece of role-playing, you award an experience bonus equal to 1/20th the base number of points he needs to get to the next level. So for good alignment play or exceptional heroism or sacrifice, or other exceptional role-playing. So, for example, Dryden is a 5th level fighter. His player just pulled off an impressive piece of role-playing and deserves a reward. The DM ignores Dryden's actual experience point total and looks at the experience point table for the fighters. It says a fighter's 16,000 experience points will get from level 5 to level 6. 1/20th of that is 800. The DM awards Dryden 800 experience points. A character should not receive more than 1 such bonus in a single play session, even if he role plays well throughout the session. Are they running in or out? That thief definitely stole that pouch. Did he steal it from the wizard that's running in, or did he steal it from the keep and they're all running out? Well, that's a good question. I thought, are they running out? Maybe they are running out. We're not exactly sure what's going on in this case. James Bacon says, no way. Treasure is its own reward. You don't get XP for it. That's cheating, like peeking through the doors in Hero Quest. We were doing a lot of that last night. That's the way the app ran that. Yeah, hey, that's really good role-playing. Let's pause to calculate 20% of 1/2 of your total. So, experience points from achieving goals. When the character achieves a major goal, award them experience points equal to the XP value of monsters defeated in reaching that goal. So, achieving goals. When a characters achieve the principal goal of an adventure or campaign, the DM should give them experience bonuses. Normally, this bonus should be equal to the experience point total of the characters received from all monsters they defeated in the course of that storyline. For this reason, it's a good idea for the DM to keep track of the encounters the characters have had in the course of a protracted storyline. This way, he'll find it much simpler to recalculate this experience bonus. Woe be unto you if you haven't done that. But you know what? That explains something that we saw, I think, on the very first day. Because I was like, why would you keep track of that? There was a DM sheet down here in the back. Hang on, let's find that. So our record sheets, adventure record sheet, character roster, class level ACHP. But down here, we said adventure record sheet, monsters encountered. You're supposed to list out the monsters encountered, treasure found, and events of the adventure. And I was like, why in the world would you want to list out all of the monsters encountered on your adventure record sheet? This up here, this is okay, spellbook sheet, okay, the character record sheet, but this is the adventure record sheet. So I guess the character roster is important because we've come up with the fact that if you're playing like in this West March thing, so if you sit down and you run this adventure, you don't really know who's going to be there. So you need to figure out who was actually there for this adventure, and then what monsters they encountered and what treasure they found, because then we would know what monsters were encountered in the storyline, and then can award our bonus. So bonus for achieving goals. For this reason, so that's why the game master is supposed to be doing this. Vision says a single god pitting two factions against each other to determine who's worthy of the god's favor. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess they could do that. Well, and it's hardly like for those forces don't fight internally anyway. Those faiths don't fight internally anyway. So that's why we're doing that. So experience points from monsters. Add XP values of all monsters defeated. Divided by the number of characters who participated in their defeat. So that's another reason why we need to know how many characters there were. Add XP values of all monsters defeated. Divide by the number of characters who participated in their defeat. Award the result in XP to each character who participated. So everybody's getting a big bonus up here based on their monster value. But this is a smaller part because it didn't say this was award them when characters achieve a major goal. Award them experience equal to the XP value of monsters defeated in reaching that goal. Now it says normally this bonus should be equal to the experience point total the characters received for all the monsters they defeated in the course of the storyline. It doesn't sound like I don't know if that's supposed to be proportional or not. I don't get an example here. I wish I had an example there. But here, characters can earn experience points by defeating monsters or other opponents. Defeating a monster doesn't necessarily mean killing it. Defeating an opponent can mean killing it, capturing it, tricking it into destroying itself, trapping it forever so it can't menace the rest of the world, and so forth. Divide this by the number of player characters and NPCs who participate in the defeat of the monsters. A character does not have to have done well against the monster. He needs only to have tried. Characters who die are awarded their share of points too. They'll need the points if raised from the dead, and this rule helps deter characters from coveting their fallen comrades' experience points. So you get experience points even if you're dead. The results of the number of experience points that each of the participating PCs and NPCs gain from the encounter. If the characters valiantly fought but did not defeat the monsters, they were chased away or defeated and captured, the characters receive 1/4 of the calculated experience points. So you do get that. We haven't seen that lately, have we? That if you fight but you lose, you take 1/4. Yeah, you receive 1/4. You know, one of my favorite experience systems that I think is overly complicated, and I wouldn't ever actually use it. But I like the way that MERP awards experience points. There's a lot of stuff that MERP calculates for exactly how many experience points should you get for attack your level, the level of the foe, whether or not you're doing damage to them, or if you're critically hitting them, and all kinds of things like that, or accomplishing different kinds of even maneuvers, which is like jumping or some kind of strange maneuver. I really like that. Or even traveling. Traveling gets you experience points in MERP, but it's so much to try to run. If the encountered monster is not listed in Chapter 14, here's what to do. Okay. Asterisks and special abilities. Modifying XP values. Okay, so now here is experience from treasure. Each 1 GP value of treasure won by the character equals 1 XP earned by the character. Wealth, coins, gems, jewelry, and other items. So it is kind of like what James was just saying. It seems like a double reward. So not only do you get the treasure, but you also get XP for it. Wealth, coins, gems, jewelry, and other items of value is worth experience points. The amount of treasure found will help determine how fast the characters advance their experience levels. At the end of each adventure, the characters earn experience points based on the actual value of all treasure they have found and kept. If they've sold or traded newly won treasures, they get experience points based on the money they received, not the theoretical worth of the traded treasure. Characters will find that the very valuable portable treasures, such as gems and jewelry, are preferable to bulging packs of gold coins. They are far more efficient in experience earned for encumbrance carried than ordinary coin. On the other hand, characters should take what they can get. The DM decides what sort of monetary treasures are awarded in this campaign. that also brings up the point we were trying to pay our mercenaries. Just because you've got some valuable jewelry doesn't mean that's useful for paying your mercenaries. That's not going to work. You're going to have to sell it for the right type of coinage to pay them. So that does say that they have found and kept. Just because they found the dragon's hoard doesn't mean they get experience points for it. They've got to get that out of there in order to, first of all, have it as treasure, but then also they got to have it to have XP from it. Treasure whose values counts toward experience includes treasure taken from defeated monsters and opponents, rewards bestowed on the characters for accomplishing dangerous tasks, money paid to characters for accomplishing dangerous tasks, thieves only, money gained from thieving abilities such as pickpocketing. Salaries for ordinary jobs do not count. We don't recommend that you reward characters full experience point value for the sale of magical items. Sale of a rare item may bring a character vast amounts of unearned experience and upset the balance of the game. It would also give one character a lot more experience points than the amount received by characters who don't sell their magic items, which could upset other players. If a character sells a magic item, first find out how much it costs to create the item. The sale price will be at least twice that gold amount, but the experience point gained by the character will be a maximum of 10% of the monetary value it took to create the magical item in the first place. Experience points from actions. When a player performs an exceptional action, the DM can award a character an experience points equal to 1/20th of the base points he needs to get to the next level. The DM has to decide what constitutes an exceptional action in your campaign. As a rule of thumb, an exceptional action is a success that the character achieves when the DM didn't think he could or didn't anticipate the clever means by which he achieved it. There's no limit to the number of types of exceptional actions in a campaign. The only rule that you can use is this. The only rule of thumb you can use is this. If a player character tries something unexpected, impresses the DM or other players, does good for himself and his friends, and succeeds, you should count this as an exceptional action. Two types of common exceptional actions are saving allies from harm and exceptional skill use. On average, characters should go up one experience level approximately every 5 adventures. But that's a lot. So wait a minute. And we're trying to get to level 36 here? That's 180 adventures. That's a lot of adventuring if you're trying to go all the way up to level 36. At that speed, level advancement doesn't come easy enough to cause boredom, but isn't rare enough to cause frustration. Various factors can adjust this rate. Are most of the characters magic users or elves who require more experience points than most classes? That might go up to an average of once every 6 or 7 adventures. Do you play 2 short games a week instead of 1 long one? Characters might go up a level once every 8 to 10 adventures instead. Do you play once a month or less? Could upset other players. Stay mad. You mad, bro? So that was maximum hit points. The DM should always insist on seeing the player roll the die to gain his character's new hit points when the character goes up in level, and be aware of the maximum number of hit points that a character can possibly have. The maximum hit point possible for any human character is a combined total of the roll of 9 hit dice, any constitution bonus, and the given hit point gains for additional levels. For an 18 constitution and maximum die rolls, the totals are shown on the maximum hit point table humans. Oh, interesting. So maximum hit point human table. So here's how, so that's already been calculated. So dice rolls con bonus, that's maximum con bonus, maximum hit point at levels 15, 25, and 36. So a cleric could have a maximum of 87 at level 15 and 108 at level 36. The fighter could have up to 153. The magic user could have 90 at level 36. At level 15, could have 69. It would be interesting to see minimum or average too, like minimum, average, max. Paths to immortality. After reaching level 26 or greater, a character can attempt to gain immortality. Immortality is just what it sounds like, eternal youth coupled with great power. In some campaigns, immortality is basically a character reward on the character's retirement. When the character achieves immortality, he's retired from play. In other campaigns, the focus of the game shifts to its immortal characters. Creating high-level player characters. Non-player characters. Mercenary table. Price is quoted in gold pieces per month. I don't know if we should. Oh, I wanted to look at strongholds and domains. I wasn't anticipating that the siege would take an entire episode. But I do want to look at strongholds and domains. And then also the actual part of this that is about the DM's guide. Something tells me, yes, that the strongholds and domains is going to also be quite a thing. So I guess that'll be tomorrow. There's a lot here. Strongholds and domains. And like I said, I still want to look at the Dungeon Master procedures to figure out what it actually says the Game Master is. We've come up with some things the Game Master is supposed to be doing, which is a lot, keeping a lot of stuff here. But I would still be interested in, there's probably some gems in this. Mapping, overusing dice, record keeping specifically. Here's time tracking tables. Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of stuff to look at those. So I still think we got those two subjects to go. Yeah, it seemed that way. Mark says, I think that by adventures, they may have meant game sessions. In my Mystara campaign, it's taken almost 3 years for the cleric to reach his current level of 25. It sounded like that too. All right. Well, if you are looking for more and you did not see last night's Dinner and a Board Game, we played Hero Quest. Definitely check out Dinner and a Board Game. That was a lot of fun. So we may play again this Friday, but that means that I got to come up with some other dinner to cook. We'll probably have to do that tomorrow, and put together another dinner cooking session. I fried steak yesterday, and it was a good time. So, all right. Well, I guess I'm going to get out of here for now. Lots of work to do. Please do check out other things on the channel if you are looking for something else to watch today. And go be productive, be creative, and until I see you tomorrow, grind.
Oh, it's time for a Yeti Hug Break. Yeti Hug Break, Yeti Hug Break. Everybody go hug yo Yeti and show yo Yeti some love.